Okay, folks. What I'm going to attempt to do is I got this at Harbor Freight, and it's an airline filter, 3/8 filter. Now this box was open, so I got it at a discount, and it's by the Central Pneumatics company, which is a division, I believe, of Harbor Freight. And it has a couple of fittings at the bottom. This bottom piece slides on, and you got to pull that down and twist it, and it comes off. But I took it off because I want to show you guys. For a while, it was popular to do the oil catch cans, and I'm going to make this into an oil catch can. And everybody's going to be saying, why use that? Well, you see that filter right there, a sensitive bronze filter. It has the ability to filter better. Now, I've been looking online at a lot of catch cans, and a lot of them do not have any sort of filter media inside there to catch. What an oil catch can does is it brings in the oil mist or crappy air that's inside the motor and filters it, and then releases the good air back into the air intake of the engine. It's a good way to clean the inside of the engine out. Now this one, I did a permanent marker and I marked the top. It only had an N on this side, and so I did it a little bit more better. One of the big problems is that this does not have any sort of bracket to hold it up. It does have these little channels right here and right here, and I guess I'll have to really be on my A game and make a slide-in bracket with maybe a thing that I could bolt down right there, so I could take it off and then slide this out for cleaning. Now, I've been working over in my mind how I'm going to do this thing, because this unit is designed to be under pressure, and this little valve at the bottom will pop out under air pressure, and so that's how it stays sealed at the bottom. This, when it gets full and it's under pressure, all you do is you push up. Well, yeah, under pressure, this thing will be sticking out like that, and you just push it up in there, and that will open it, and you can release all that oil. Now we're talking in a pneumatic line. Now the way I'm going to do this is under vacuum, so I'm going to have to take a piece of wire and push this in the open or the closed position and wrap a piece of wire around that, so it stays closed and stays sealed. I kind of tested it, and that is the way I could figure it out. Now the inside comes in and basically will dump inside here, and the outside will breathe through this filter. And you see this filter is designed to let stuff drop off it. And that's the important thing to me about an oil catch can, is having that filter to make the air that's coming out of it as clean as possible. And it kind of cleans the gunk out of the inside of the engine. And so today, what I'm going to do is try to find some fittings. I measured the fitting on the truck, and it's 0.80 millimeter, which puts it pretty close to 3/4 of an inch pipe. So I'm going to look at some adapters. What I'm going to do is make a 90 and make it come out this way, and the same with this 90, and probably put a short tube on it. And the things I got to figure out is where to mount this and all that other stuff. Which end, do I want to put where and stuff like that. But that'll be in these other videos that come up. But I got to researching these and I thought, man, this would be a great thing to put on a motor, because I plan on getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles out of my vehicles. And so this is another way to help do that. Filter that crap air that's on the inside of the motor. So I'll do more videos and compile it up now that I know a little bit on how to edit. And I'm sure you guys are glad that I'm learning that. But I got to make a mount, get the fittings, got to make the fittings airtight, and put that thing on there. And that little bulb thing is basically for protection. You know, you still got windows here to see through into that and all. But I'll take you along in the process of me building this, and we'll see if it actually is better than the other catch cans, because I believe it will be, because it has a filter there, a pretty tight filter. And I've seen other brands have a really tight filter, which makes me like it even more. You know, like I said, I've seen bunches of them out there. I look at them and look on the inside, and there's no filter system. So how can it take the oil vapor out of the air? They can't. That's why I'm thinking this can. So let me get on to making some more videos and fabricating some parts, and we'll get back to you on the next video. Okay, this is the air, it's an air filter, and you can see these little grooves on the side, and somewhere they had some notches at the end to kind of block them, but you can see I knocked them down. And what I did is took a piece of metal and kept cutting it and cutting it and kept cutting it. And let me see if I could do this one-handed. Run that in there as a bracket. I could turn it up like this or turn it upside down. And I did a piece here to help lock it in. I'll just drill 2 holes and screw that together, and that should lock it in pretty good. I kind of turn this bit up. The reason is you see these little pieces. Okay, that's 3/8 to go into that port. That's a 3/8 adapter to a 3/4, and this is 3/4 to a 3/4 pipe. And what I originally was going to do is grind it down to get that to fit on it. Like you could see this one, I ground it down, but I still couldn't get it to fit in there. So I found this 1/2-inch pipe that would go inside that, and I'm going to have to weld all around that to make it airtight. And that should give me enough clamping. I'll put 2 worm screw clamps on there to clamp that. Now these 2 pieces will come off kind of the way you're seeing it right there. And part of this was to help support these pieces, but I'm going to have to put a longer piece of metal to help support these things. I really wish I could make it lighter, and I didn't have none of that. You've seen other guys will put the oh, what's that called? You use it in the crud. That thing just came right out. Oh, okay. My fault. Okay, you see that little thing down there on the bottom? That is what's used to pull that knob down, that knurled piece down, and what that does is it pulls that tab down that's inside there, and make sure that is vacuum tight. I was going to take some of that scrubbing. You've seen the it's a scrubbing kind of you scrub pots and pans with it. And some people have been putting that down inside these, and I looked and I didn't have any. This filter is a 5 micron filter. There was somebody on the web who made a video with the same idea, and he took that filter out, and I thought that was stupid. The 5 micron will stop oil, water, dirt, any kind of crap. So I'm keeping that 5 micron. Now I may look at some other ones. They had some that had a manual, that had a screw you would undo to drain the fuel bowl, and that looked like a pretty good idea to me. So I mean, I'm learning and doing. By the way, this is for a oil catch can. This is the original can. It's 3/8 air filter. Oh, great! This fall. Oh, I don't want you getting dirty and getting lost. But an open box, $5.98. I kind of wished I could have found a 1/2-inch one, but my Harbor Freight did not have any 1/2-inch air filters. Yeah, 3/8 air filter. So I'm playing around with stuff. I put these pieces in the vise, and I used, this is that Teflon thread compound from Ace Hardware, and really dabbed it into the threads, and used a lot of leverage and got them suckers as tight as I could. Now these I'm going to have to weld, get that pipe in there, and then when I slide that hose on, put 2 hose clamps on there. And that did add some weight. I didn't like that part. See, I was thinking on one with a 1/2-inch, I just put one that has a 1/2-inch that comes out and makes a turn, and that'd be a 1/2-inch, and then I can go from a 1/2-inch to a 3/4, since the hose on the truck, it's Toyota Tacoma, is a 3/4 inside diameter, and that's what I got right here. So I may redo this, I don't know, but right now, and like I said, I'm just trying this out. I could put it on there and drive it, you know, and then check it, see how it does. But so far, I mean, I've seen people do it with this size, and I'm just going, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and do it and get her all done up. I need to clean that, but that's where I'm at right now. There's the bracket. I don't know where you could buy a bracket. I don't know if they have them available. There's another brand that Harbor Freight sells that has a bracket on the back of it, and it's a higher end one, costs more, and I can't remember the name of it. Milwaukee or something like that. No, it wasn't Milwaukee. But anyhow, I just wanted to catch you guys up to what I'm doing. That's part of the brackets. But more videos to come. And anyhow, you guys have a good one. We'll see you on the next video. Okay, been doing some work to it. You can see the bracket. It slides into the slots, and I call these ram horns. I had to re-weld a couple of spots where I seen pinholes and stuff like that. I know it looks like booger welding, and I can do better welding, but I wanted to make sure them little spots were covered up because I want that to be leak proof. And out and in. I have a little piece of solder wire to keep that tab down to lock it up, because this normally, the reason I do that is that this normally is under pressure and you push that tab down and lock it in place. And to clean the oil out, all you do is you push up on that thing. Well, I'm going to run this in a vacuum, so I have to lock this in the down position and locked. So all of this remains in a vacuum. So it's going to come in on this side, go through, and get caught by the filter, and then come back and go out. Okay, here is the other piece that's going to go. Damn, it's still hot. See, that's man, it's no fun working with blazing hot stuff. That kind of gives you an idea. This is leftover pipe, and this is that piece that I had notched out to slide in there. I'll point these up a little bit higher and they'll rest on this, because I'm going to bolt this to that bracket, and that's going to hold it all in place. It's so damn hard working with one hand. Kind of like that. But I got to find room to make sure that'll fit. And stuff like that. So, and I haven't put a thread sealant on them threads that go into the body of that filter. But anyhow, that's where I'm at right now. I put a piece of plate down. I held it down with just a wood clamp, and got my welder over here, a Hobart 140. That's a 110. That's all that I got out here. Now I run it pretty hot on number 3, and I got my wire speed about right. And I pretty much weld everything like that on that same setting right there. It seems like this one needs the heat to get out, but I caught that around Christmas for around $450 bucks. And yeah, y'all was looking at this. This is a chain tightener. It's going to go on a go-kart. This part, these two end pieces will be welded, and a big spring will fit on that little D-ring right there, and this will fit up against a chain to keep the chain tight on a high horsepower mower. So that's for Dustin's mower, and this is for my truck. So let's get back to this. So that's where I'm at right now. I may paint all that stuff, I'm not sure. Anyhow, let me get back to working on it. Okay, here's the parts getting primered. Yeah, I think I need to slap a little bit more primer on some of them. Anyhow, let me do that. The next one will be let it dry and let paint get on it. Okay, last night I primered and painted the pieces. Left the fan on, dry them out. My thing that I forgot to do is on this bracket. This back side I should have drilled some holes for mounting and I didn't. So I'm kind of worried about how wide it is. If I'll be able to find a spot under the hood that I could put that, because here to here, and this is going to support that, and this goes on like that. It'll be at least this wide. I just wonder if I can find a spot wide enough. Well, that's where I'm at now. I think I need to drill some holes in the bracket. Okay. Okay, I put it together, in and out. I drilled some holes in the bracket, and like I thought I would, it would burn the paint. There's the reducers and stuff. There's a little piece that holds it up. A little bit more of an angle than what I thought it should be, but the nuts and bolts really hold it together good. I mean, it's not going to fall out. I'm shaking it and it's not going to fall out, so that was what I was wanting to do. Now you can see I missed a few spots here. I'm thinking around that thread joint, putting some sealant just around there, just in case. Threads didn't go in as far as I would have liked them to. Anyhow, that's what it looks like for now. It was relatively easy to build that bracket, you know, and I didn't tell you guys, between here and here is 1 7/8. It measured that out exactly. So I got a bandsaw and I just cut a hole in some metal, and I bent this piece in my anvil with a hammer, just a hammer. So you guys can do that too. I need to start looking at spots under the hood, see if I can find a place there it'll fit. Okay, off to the next video. Okay, showing you a picture of the under hood of my dirty truck. I was looking at spots to put this at, and right there is a bracket that holds this this wire loom up. Oh, them trucks making noise out there. And I just drilled a bunch of holes, and look, it fits perfectly in them two holes like that. But the bracket needs to lay back. See how that's at a 45 degree towards my thumb? It's at a 45 degree angle. I need to try to lay that back. Take one of them nuts off to figure out the size of it. And, well, I don't have to figure. I got 2 nuts there already, so. See about getting a wrench and taking that off, and gotta lay that back at a 45. You'll have to lay back like that. But that puts it in an area where, you know, it's not going to get, it's so hard to work one-handed. See, it's not going to get in the way of anything. That's what I was after. And I can still get to the bowl and stuff like that. It's hard to see with that cover on it, to see if you got anything in there and all, but anyhow, like my normal stuff I build, it's overbuilt. But like I said too, I'm looking at other designs, so let me try to work on it some more. Yeah, paint. Anyhow, let me work on this some more and see what we get. If I turned up on its side, you can see I bent it kind of to a 45. And then I repainted it because I really messed it up a lot. I want to point a fan at it and let it dry. But this is what I use, the Ace Rust Stop. I actually find this really good compared to the it's made better, and you can see it's mixed better than Rust-Oleum, but I still use Rust-Oleum a lot. I buy these acid brushes as a throwaway brush for little stuff, you know, and this is the opener for the lid, the best thing you could use. But I didn't want to paint the unit itself. I'm trying to keep areas off where the hoses are going to go on, so it's going to be fully supported. It's going to have 2 bolts going through it. So for now, I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to point this fan at it. And today we got severe heat warnings out, so I'm going to try to be inside while I can. And you can see the paint. Just bought a new box of them little nylon gloves you put on, and what do? I don't put them on. So wear your gloves. Anyhow, you can see the angle of it like that. It'll sit up like that. Anyhow, that'll be, I'm getting paint on my camera. I'm going to call it good for now and put a fan on this later. Okay, there's the truck. As you can see, I had to mow the yard today, so that kind of took some of my time up. Half of it's dead anyhow because of we ain't had rain in 2 or 3 months. But I finished it up. See, it says out right there, which comes to this. It goes straight off the valve cover there. In right here, which comes and goes into the airstream right there. I originally was going to put this in this area. That's kind of the reason why I had these come out the front, and I didn't have the room. And that there was a bracket right there which holds this loom up, and I drilled all them holes, and somehow I drilled it perfectly. I don't know how I did that, but I did. But I found these 90-degree turns, and I need to get me some more for my supply, and basically adapted it. I mean, I can always go back and do some changes. This one was always going to be right. That one can come straight out, you know, and go straight to the valve cover. But you know, all these other guys, they use them small ones. They try to tap into a manifold vacuum, which probably would be pretty good. Come to think of it, probably be a stronger vacuum. But I wanted to kind of stick with that because later on this year I'm going to get an air intake system and come over here and put a cone air filter in. So the kit that I'll buy will have all the same hookups on it. So all I got to do is transfer all this over, and I'll get rid of this one. And that is a air quietener. It's an air chamber. It has baffles in there to keep, when you're sucking air in, it keeps it from making a lot of noise. But the next stage of this, on these, I took a little ratchet and I really tightened them down. I don't want these leaking. And the problem is about having all these fittings right here is that it's a potential for a leak anywhere. So right now that's where I'm at. And this one's got a 5 micron filter in it, so it should be really good. You got to be really careful when you go look at these oil catch cans, because there's some of them out there. There's a lot of them out there that do not have a filter in it. It has an in, goes into a box, and then an out. And if you don't have any kind of media in there, and it needs to be one like this, an air filter system for a compressor. And to me, that's the only system that'll work properly. But anyhow, let's test this thing out and then see what I think later. Okay, on this one, you can see it's not there anymore. I pulled it out. I had it. It comes from here, goes to the filter over here, and then come back here on the air intake. There's not enough vacuum right here to pull through that. So, over here, I hope I have enough light to see. There's a couple of hoses right here. And that one, it's got a clamp right there. It goes to a, you can see, I don't know if you can see that. There's a hose right there. I think what I'll do is I'll not splice it, but pull this off. Put a T in line and connect a short piece to that, and have that one run over to the filter over there. I'm in the process of modifying the filter to go from a high vacuum source, which that'll be here near the throttle body. So the other one didn't work because the air intake just didn't have enough vacuum. But now I got to block that air intake tube off and stuff like that. So let me get busy making some parts and see what I can come up with. Okay, hope I can talk over all the fans. Now it was mounted like this, and I had this tube welded on here to support these horns. Now I had to move it to a different location, and so these were coming out the front, and had to use an angled piece to move them, to get them off the side. But these also were a lot of weight. So what I'm going to do now is this is a fuel fitting that'll go on this side because it can go straight over to the valve cover. This one will have this piece yeah, I can't put that on there with it's so fun trying to work one-handed. Well, this is going to go right here. I'm trying to get this sucker up so I can see better. This will turn at 90, and this will connect to that, so I can make it turn. I'm going to try to use silicone hose, which is pretty flimsy, but it high heat. It's good in high heat, and looks pretty. So 90 with another fuel tap on it. Now on the, I'm going to keep the 3/4 hose that comes off of the valve cover. What I'm going to do is come off and shorten that, put a 90, so that way it's going to look like that. Have his hose go straight across, and putting all this stuff together. Okay, this will go into the hose like that, and then I'll put a 3/8 line from there to there, and that should give me high vacuum to be able to pull through, pull from this other side, and make that make this work effectively. So let me put it together and do another video. Okay, next phase. Wipe the sweat off. There's a 3/8 barb. I put Teflon on the threads, and I put sealant on the outside. I remarked the top. Here's it's a 90 out, 3/8. Comes to a 3/8 nipple, which is like that one. And I bent a piece of copper pipe. I think that's 3/8, hell, I don't know. It fit good in that pipe. So anyhow, that will fit up against the firewall. This will hook up to this and go to a vacuum source that I'll use a T to hook up to, and this will go to this contraption, which this will stand off from the valve cover, go through a 90, come over here to that connection and that big 3/8 thing that went into that, kind of like a garden hose thingy right there, and that will hook in to that. Now I'm showing you guys my process because, like all these other butt heads on YouTube, they never show you that that they're working out problems, and I'm working out problems, and in the end result, I'll have a good working system because I know that these filters work. That's 3/8 hole that's on that, and eventually I may go to a 1/2 inch one, but I want to see how this one works first. The reason I took it off, again, like I'm telling you guys, is that I did not get enough vacuum through that system, and it didn't pull the crankcase crap. Now, as I said before, these filters in here is 5 micron. I don't care. You guys are going to say, well, I can buy these oil catch cans off Amazon or eBay. Ain't no one of them going to have a 5 micron filter on them. None of them. This does. So 5 micron will catch a lot of crap. And the research I've done on these, if you can take that oil vapor out, you're taking moisture out of your motor and bad components. You know, I plan on getting 1,000,000 miles out of that truck, so this is a device that's going to help me do it. And that's why I'm doing the stuff that I'm doing. That's why I'm testing and reworking and getting to the point where stuff does work. So let me get on to the next video or something. Anyhow, it's hot out here. Catch you guys on the next video. Okay, here's where I'm at right now. I'll put the bracket back on it. Crap. Got my hands in that damn sealant. The vacuum, you can see the little arrow right there. The small one and the big one I put on. And this is going to go to a vacuum source. what I'll do is pull the hose off that I showed in a previous video there by the throttle body, cut a section of this wire, or not wire, tubing, and put it there to there. So that means I need one more screw, worm screw. And then this wire, or this tubing, will actually come off this. So this will be in line, and this will actually come off this. This is what I'm going to put on the air intake. I slide it up on that tube and tighten it down. That's a dowel rod. I just stuck it in there as far as I could get. Used a little bit of trans fluid on it and shoved it in. That's really not important, but I'm doing that to keep the air intake from bringing any bad air and stuff in. So tomorrow, gotta get me another, yeah, gotta get another one of these, but a small one. Anyhow, that one is where it's going to hook up to the big line. I'm dropping sweat all over my camera. The big line that goes to the valve cover, and it go 3/4 comes to reduce down to 3/8 right there. So tomorrow I'll finish this up. I'll let that stuff dry and get back out in the heat. So anyhow, that's where I'm at right now. Catch you on the next video. Okay, this will be the under the hood after I've redone it. Under the hood of my 2012 Toyota Tacoma 2.7 4-cylinder. You notice that I took the other fittings out. There's a 90 right there. Comes out to a fuel fitting, a 3/8, and I took some silicone hose, and then I bent a piece of pipe, copper pipe, to make another 90. So to bring it around over, I bring it to a high vacuum source, which was here at the base of the throttle body, and I put a short piece there. I put a T right here. Here's the original line that went into that. And then this goes to it. I was looking at these two hoses, and I pulled this one off, and coolant came out. So apparently coolant comes into the here at the base of the throttle body to heat that up. I didn't know that, so I had to put that back. Couldn't use either one of them, because them are not vacuum sources. And this one goes straight in underneath the throttle body right there. So that, I'm hoping, because the engine is sealed, because if you look at the cap, see how it's got an O-ring on it? I believe the engines are supposed to stay quite sealed, so I shouldn't, unless there's another problem, I shouldn't have. I'm hoping that's not going to show as a vacuum leak, a bad vacuum leak. I want that to be able to pull enough vacuum to get the oil vapors and crap out of the engine and into that filter. And right here you can see the short pipe. I got a plug on the end of it. This comes off the valve cover right there, comes up a few inches into a 90, and then goes straight over to that filter. And this is a water hose fitting right here. It goes into that, and I put that big reducer, whatever water hose size is, down to 3/8, and then 3/8 fuel fitting. Normally under vacuum situations you wouldn't have to put these screws or these clamps, but I did just to be on the safe side. And on this, it fit a little loose, so that's why I got them clamps on there. Now you notice I put sealant in a lot of places to extra secure, to make sure everything. I did use liquid Teflon when I threaded it into this filter, and I have checked all the components that I could for, you know, you just pull a vacuum on it and see if it'll stay, and so far they did. But I haven't started the truck, and I need to test this out before I approve of it. So I hope that this system doesn't cause a vacuum leak in the motor. Like I said, the intake tube just wouldn't pull enough. It just won't pull enough vacuum to operate that system. And that's where I'm at now. So let me do some testing. I'll do more videos, and we'll see how it goes from there. I want to start it up, see how it runs. I got a code machine here. I'll check for codes, stuff like that. So right now, back to the testing phase. So I'll see you on another video. Okay, I turned it on, and you hear that noise? Look at this, it's collapsed. So I'm going to have to get a tube or something inside that. That's the first problem. The problem I got to fix. So let me get on to fixing it. Okay. I just got back from a test run, and as far as driving, it drove out okay. One problem I've had recently, and it was after I disconnected the battery cable, because I put a fuse block in over there, and I added, you can see that red cable, I added the positive, and the top one is negative. I made it hot, so I had to disconnect the power. So basically I lost everything out of the memory. And this motor now likes to get down to 500 RPM, which is supposed to be idling around 700 RPM to be smooth. And I checked the codes, it's not throwing up any codes. But other than that, let's talk about the oil catch can system. The tube right here, you remember in the last video, collapsed. I put a piece of conduit or pipe, it goes from there to right there, so there's no way that's going to collapse anymore. I put double screws on that. I shortened that one so it wouldn't collapse. That one goes into the valve cover right there. But all these are holding good, and the thing that it's doing now, I mean, apparently this system has no vacuum leaks. I know in this engine I have a rear main seal leaking, and I've come out here and tested this, and I'll start the engine up and I'll turn it off, and then I'll hear a great big vacuum, you know, like a loss or like a air tank being let off. And the second, you know, I come out here and start listening around, and it was at the back of the motor. And so that tells me rear main seal. And the reason I know it's a rear main seal, because I can look in the driveway and there's all sorts of spots. And these are known about having bad rear main seals. So I guess that this system is going to be running like it's got a small vacuum leak in the system, is the way it's going to run. Because normally these motors are tight because because emissions wise they suck, like that old system, they suck all that oil vapor and crap out of the engine into the air intake and try to burn it. You know, that's their way of dealing with it. It's not a good way, but that's how the factory deals with it. And I come up with that system to try to better that, you know. So right now, yeah, I like the blue silicone hoses. Silicone can take a lot of abuse. The silicone hoses can. And but until I get that rear main seal fixed, this is going to run like it's got a vacuum leak, a small vacuum leak. But as long as it's sucking the vapors out of that motor and through that filter system, that'll be okay. This air intake system, I plan on getting one of them tubes with the cone style air filter. Even though I do have a K&N on there, I want to clean all that up, and it'd make it easier getting the spark plugs. Here shortly, I plan on getting E3 spark plugs in here. The reports I've read about the E3, they're really good. They're on par with the iridium. These use factory iridiums and they're good for 100,000 miles, but the E3 has 3 ways a spark can go. So, you know, on a regular spark plug, if you have a carbon deposit that gets in that one spot, the spark has no other place to go. But like say on an E3, you have 3 different places to go. So if one gets blocked, you have 2 other places that the spark can go and still go. And that's the reason I like them kind of plugs. You know, the AC plugs that you use in them racing go-karts and the Predator motors, I wish they made them for more engines, because they're flat and they have prongs down there, and you have the spark can go through, you know, different many ways. You know, I'm getting off target. Anyhow, that's what I done. Like I said, this was right there at the base of the throttle body. That's a T, and I just hooked everything back up to it. Run that line over, and that's how she goes. I put a metal pipe inside that piece of conduit and doubled it down so it's not leaking. That was the main thing. But like I said, my rear main seal is leaking. When I turn this motor off, I hear a huge, you know, psh, and it's coming out of the back right back there, so I know that tells me it is the rear main seal. But for now, it is working. So for now, let me call it quits on this, and but that's how I done that. And like I said, you don't see too many videos where people get out there and test their stuff, and then all you see is videos of people throwing stuff on there and boom, it works. I'm showing you the problems I had and the solutions I had. So there you go. Anyhow, you guys like and subscribe, not prescribe. You know what I'm talking about. Anyhow, have a good one. We'll catch you on the next video. Okay guys, last video on what I'm going to do about the oil catch can thing set up for this Toyota Tacoma truck, 2.7 2012 model. Now, you see that? I went back to the stock hose to put back on here. And you can see I got it disconnected right there, and it's disconnected right here. Now, here's the reason why. I'm using this manifold port. I pull so much vacuum that it's causing an air leak, a vacuum leak to the motor, and it makes the motor pull down to real low RPM, and at low RPM it's going down to 500 RPM, and that's causing problems to where my oil light comes on, and I don't want to damage the motor. So my biggest problem right now is that the vacuum leak is coming from the rear main seal that is leaking on, and this is a very common problem on the 2.7 motor on the Toyota. It wasn't made that good, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to give this up. Whenever I get my rear main seal fixed, I'm going to put that system back on because I believe in it. Now, this Toyota truck, there's something that they don't tell you about on motors. Okay, the oil filter cap, if you take it off while this motor's running, you're going to feel air going up and down like that. And what that is the air is being pushed as the piston goes down. And so that's windage inside that motor. And if I can cause a vacuum, I mean, this intake tube on this side where that comes into doesn't make enough vacuum to pull away from that. So for now, I've got to disconnect this because of that rear main seal leak. I was using this manifold vacuum right here, this tube, and it pulls a lot. And in fact, I had to put a hose or a tube inside this hose because it collapsed it. That's how heavy it was. So I believe in the system. I believe in the oil catch can system, but for now, because I have that huge vacuum leak right there, I can't use the oil vacuum or the oil catch can system on this because of that. So I put that thing back on for now, and I'm going to try to get this thing back to running right. But to run them motors in a vacuum like that, I said, like I said, when you pop this off, you'll see, and people will freak out thinking, oh, I got blow by. No, it's windage being caused by that piston pushing down and making air move around. But, to operate that motor in a vacuum would be a big help, but you got to have good gaskets and everything else in order first before you can do that. And so right now I can't do this. But this is part of the stuff that I tell you guys in my videos that I show you that nobody else will show you. So I'm going to leave that there. It's not going anywhere, and it's well set up. And I got my this was the block off tube that came off the intake. It's just a dowel rod stuck in there, and this was put up against that, and the other two screws. So I'm going to just leave it there, and like I said, once I get that fixed, then I can go back to this. But for now, I mean, it's completed, it's done. I got my stuff done. I just can't report on how well it works because it pulled so much vacuum that it gave this motor a vacuum leak So I got to kind of rig it up to run properly, and that's why I went back with the old tube. It went from the valve cover to the intake. So for now, I'm going to call this quits. I got other projects to work on and other stuff to work on. And that's stuff you guys are going to have to, that I have never seen a video on oil catch can that will tell you about. Again, like I tell you in my videos, I will show you stuff that other people won't. So this is the bad side about one particular motor, is that it has the Toyota 2.7 4-cylinder is bad about having leaky rear main seals, and because of that, that's not sealing my motor up good enough to where I can run one of these systems. My system runs on a high negative vacuum, and so that would actually be probably good for this motor. It would still catch everything, you know, and instead of pushing it out, would bring it in and filter it through that. But because I have leaky gaskets, I can't do that. So for now, let me call it quits on this video, and I'll probably maybe do one later on about this. But for now, keep me in mind on your subscription. Please like and subscribe. I need all the help I can get. And I hope I was able to teach you guys a lot about this, because like I said, there's information in here that other guys ain't showing you. Anyhow, you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next video.